Can you imagine the difference in the newspaper renditions of what was going on in Boston in 1774 and 1775 and 1776? The news reports in Philadelphia and in New York versus in London and Liverpool and York. What happened is what happened, okay? The facts truly are known to God and known to a lot of people. But what would matter with those news reports is how they were covered based upon what ethical framework the reporter had. Did the reporter believe that Americans should have the right to taxation with representation? That the Americas should have a voice inside of Parliament? I mean, ultimately, that's all that they wanted, right? I mean, they wanted to be able to say, we're part of the British Empire and we need to have representation in Parliament and not be treated like we're second-class Brits, because they were British citizens. And by the way, taxation without representation was only one of the reasons that the Revolutionary War happened. There were, if my memory is correct, 27 indictments, if you will, or criticisms or line items of atrocities and tyrannies that the King of England had foisted on the American people. But I digress. The news coverage in that day would have been very different based upon the political philosophy of the person who was covering the actions. All right? And someone is right, and therefore someone is not right. And when you look what is going on in America compared to what went on at the time of the American Revolution, what we have for the most part with our major news sources is the press in London in 1774, 1775, 1776. Let me explain. Ruth Bader Ginsburg recently did an interview in which she said that Americans were ready for same-gender matrimony. And if my memory is correct, there's 37 states right now that require that if two people of the same biological gender go there, that they are to be issued a marriage license. Well, what she failed to mention was that it is the demonic, unelected, godless tyrants in the federal judiciary primarily, and sometimes in the state judiciary, such as in Massachusetts or Vermont, but it is godless, often anti-Christ, regularly anti-law, anti-constitution, anti-separation of powers, unelected despots who wear black robes and who are very articulate and who went to the finest, most prestigious universities in America, who are ordering us, we the people, to bow and to scrape before them on bended knee and to give way to the militant homosexual juggernaut, to redefine marriage, something that has never been done since the history, or in the history of the world, okay? This is so demonic. It is so evil. I would submit to you that, and when you see the news coverage of American news sources cover things like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's speech, it's like the press in London covering the greatness of the king, the fairness of Parliament, and those renegade, seditious Americans that won't do what they're told. People in the press should be berating Ruth Bader Ginsburg. People should be working in Congress to get her out of the Supreme Court because she has betrayed her oath. Her oath is to support the laws and the Constitution of the United States of America. She doesn't believe in constitutional law. She doesn't believe in the rule of law. She believes in federal tyrants, redefining words, redefining law. But the press covers her as if she was the hero and as if we were the villains. So compare that to the London press, who would compare Parliament and British troops and the king as if they were the heroes and if the American rebels, those colonists, were the villains. I'll submit one other point to you before we take a break. The atrocities and the evils and the bloodshed that has been unleashed, that have been unleashed on America through the federal judiciary are far more severe, far more oppressive than anything that the King of England ever did to our forefathers. And they fought a war with real guns and real bullets, with real bloodshed, to bring an end to that tyranny. God forgive us for having laid down and scraped and bowed at the feet of these tyrants when we had the capacity, without bloodshed, to remove them from power. Instead, we were addicted to bread and circuses. What price will our children and our grandchildren pay because of our folly?
Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today.